Jimmy Butler has been suspended indefinitely by the Miami Heat in the latest twist in one of the more dramatic public feuds between player and team in recent NBA history. The drama began at the end of last season, when team president Pat Riley admitted his reluctance to give Butler a contract extension given his injury issues. It dragged into the season, which has now featured 3 suspensions, multiple trade requests, and a now laughable press release in which Riley claimed the Heat would not be trading Butler. That's how we got here. The real question, with the trade deadline 10 days away and no solution in sight, is where we are going. Given the way this has gone thus far, making a prediction seems foolish, so that's not what we're going to do here. Instead, we're going to look at every possible outcome and what it will take to make it reality. Some of these outcomes are not only feasible, but could come in the very near future. Others? Well, Butler technically has a year and a half left on his contract, so he could drag this thing out quite a bit if he was so inclined. There's no telling which solution winds up coming to fruition, but when the dust eventually settles here, one of the following scenarios will come to pass. Path 1. Butler gets traded to the Suns by February 6th. If Butler has his way, this is how things will play out. Phoenix has been by far the most aggressive pursuer of Butler on the trade market. He and Kevin Durant have been interested in a partnership in the past, as the Heat were a preferred destination of Durant's when he was seeking a deal away from the Brooklyn Nets. Most importantly, the Suns are positioned to give Butler the contract extension he seeks. Phoenix has already shown complete disregard for the second apron. What does it matter to them if they have to pay Butler for an extra year? Of course, if it were as easy as agreeing to a trade, Butler would probably be a Sun right now. Obviously, he isn't, and Bradley Beal is the single biggest reason for that. While the Suns are seemingly open to paying Butler, nobody has much interest in paying Beal supermax money for the next 2 seasons. Even if they did, Beal, through his no-trade clause, has the right to block any trade the Suns present him with. Clearing one of these obstacles would be doable. Clearing both is going to be a challenge. For that reason, a Phoenix trade is unlikely. The Suns have no other viable path to getting Butler. Beal, Durant, or Devin Booker have to be in the trade for it to be legal. The Suns cannot aggregate salaries as a second-apron team, and they cannot take in more money than they send out as a first-apron team. That means, in essence, that they need to trade one of the 3 players on their roster earning more than Butler is now, and 2 of those players, Durant and Booker, are seemingly untouchable. Without Beal, there is no deal. Even with him, a trade is no guarantee. The Suns may now have 3 tradable first-round picks, but none of those picks are especially desirable. The 2025 pick will almost certainly come from the Cleveland Cavaliers and wind up in one of the final 2 slots of the round. The other 2 are tied to 3 teams and convey as the worst available pick in those seasons. With those 3 picks and possibly rookie Ryan Dunn, the Suns not only need to get the Heat to agree to send them Beal, but in all likelihood, pay off multiple teams to absorb salaries, including Beal's. Maybe the Suns can find a viable solution in the next 10 days, but the odds are against them. Path 2. Butler gets traded to another team by February 6th. The reporting surrounding Butler's enthusiasm for teams besides the Suns has been somewhat inconsistent. At one point we heard he was directly telling certain teams not to trade for him. At another it was anybody but the Heat. At another it was anybody but the Heat or the Grizzlies. Butler has the leverage to be picky. With a player option, he can theoretically leave any team that trades for him after the season. Even if he doesn't, the whole world has seen what happens when Butler plays for a team he doesn't want to be on. Nobody is willingly walking through that door. Of course, leverage can be temporary. That could explain why the Heat have been so quick to suspend Butler this season. Let's say a Suns trade is either impossible from a practical perspective or generates so little value to the Heat that it would be undesirable. What's the best way to get Butler to warm up to another destination? By making him so miserable in Miami that he'll do anything to get out. We don't know that this is happening, of course, but given how Sun-centric these negotiations have been, it does at least behoove the Heat to try to open up the market a bit. The Grizzlies are a perfect example of why the Heat could use more flexibility out of their outgoing star. It makes sense why Butler wouldn't want to play for Memphis. The Grizzlies need to save their money in the 2026-27 season for a new Jaren Jackson Jr. contract, and that means Butler almost definitely wouldn't get his extension. Yet the Grizzlies have much more draft capital to offer the Heat in a deal along with far more desirable salary. If the Heat need to get Butler to warm up to the idea of going to Memphis, a third suspension might be a step in that direction. Even if Pat Riley isn't quite that Machiavellian, a one-team market does little for the Heat. Whether Monday's suspension had anything to do with this or not, the Heat would probably prefer to trade Butler somewhere other than Phoenix, and the longer the Suns go without constructing a deal, the likelier such a trade becomes. Path 3. Butler makes peace with the Heat now or later. Let's say February 6th comes and goes without a trade. Is reconciliation possible? Well, there's at least some precedent. Retracted trade requests used to be a bit more common. Hakeem Olajuwon, Scottie Pippen, and Kobe Bryant stand out as stars who have tried to force trades, failed, and ultimately returned to their teams. All three wound up winning championships after the fact. But the league has changed quite a bit since then. The most recent example of a retracted trade request was LaMarcus Aldridge, who wanted out of San Antonio in 2017, but wound up staying until 2021. The characters involved in that feud were a bit more humble than Butler and Riley. As discussions went on, it became apparent to me it was me. Greg Popovich said in 2018, "Neither Butler nor Riley are known for admitting fault. There's not an obvious compromise here either. Riley isn't handing out an extension to make peace. Butler certainly won't come off of the bench. Maybe the Heat can play the suspension game for the rest of the season. For reasons we will discuss shortly, it doesn't make much sense for Butler to opt out of his contract this summer. So let's say he picks that option up and no trade materializes. Could the two sides agree to meet in the middle? Allow Butler to return to the starting lineup for the 2025-26 season and part amicably afterward? It's not likely, but nobody benefits from another year of this mess. Butler has to prove to future employers that he is capable of playing nice. Riley needs to show stars he might one day recruit that Heat culture is not inherently unfriendly to players, and that the Butler situation was salvageable. Perhaps cooler heads prevail, and both parties act within their self-interest. Don't bet on it, but hey, it's the NBA, so anything is possible. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure to give it a like. Your support motivates us to create even better content. And if you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you never miss a new video. Also, share this video with your friends so they can enjoy it too. We always look forward to your comments, so feel free to leave your feedback. Thank you.